say it everywhere I go, but if he can use me, he literally can use anybody. I was leading a messy church in my home church back in North Wales, and I'd very much come into leading that messy church quite selfishly, really. It was a church that had very little for families and young people, and really it was a desire to have something suitable for my children, so they didn't get bored and fed up. This job was advertised, and I didn't see it personally. A friend who was a vicar called me up and said, "I've seen this job advertised, do you think you should apply?" Somebody else, I was at a messy church conference and I stood at the back and somebody passed me a piece of paper cut out of the Church Times. So it came to me through 5 or 6 different people, and if I'm honest, I really didn't want the job. I couldn't bear the thought of moving my family to live somewhere else, and actually I just didn't think I could do it. It was a very formal sort of application, and I had very limited experience, and I tried very, very hard to ignore that call for a long time, until I reached a point that I just knew, because of all these ways it was coming to me that so strongly, it was God. It was almost that I'll upset him if I don't do what he wants me to do. So I actually filled the application out at 1:45 in the morning of the closing date, and if I'm really truthful, it was a bit of, there you go, God, I've done it, do what you like. And that process actually continued. I went to the interview, and actually it was a really horrible day. I felt very out of my depth. I felt very different to the other people that were there. And you automatically sort of judge yourself, don't you, and think, I'm not the right person here. And I found the whole day very difficult. Quite an amusing story. I got my heel stuck in the grid outside the interview room, and the security men had to come and release my shoe while the bishop's in the window going, look at the state on that. It's a funny story, and it was traumatic really at the time, but for me it reaffirms very strongly that this was all of God. I always had a sense of calling from a very young age, actually, sort of about 16 or 17, and I explored quite a lot with the vicar that was at my home church at the time, and felt very strongly that God was calling me, but not yet. And I can very much, looking back now, see that was messy church, and the sort of perhaps more traditional forms of ministry that I'd looked at, with the vicar younger, were definitely not where God wanted me to be. So I had a long period of just sitting on the pews, just being a congregation member. Yes, feel very much daily that it's still a calling, and I find it really exciting that to wake up in the morning and know that actually I'm doing what God wants me to do, and that's something that gets you through the difficult times as well, when you're feeling a bit grim about things. I love working with Messy Church volunteers because I can see God's sense of humour, really. I can see the great way that he's called so many people, and I think lots of us would sit there and say, we're not natural leaders, we're not what you would think is a natural church leader, a natural sort of mover and shaker, if you like. And I love that. I love to see how God is calling so many different people. And there is a role for everyone in Messy Church. If you've got a heart for reaching people with the good news, that really is all you require, because God will do the rest. And there are people in Messy Church they come in and sweep the floor at the end of the day. But that is their ministry. They're serving the community, they're serving God through God. I think through Messy Church is saying, every one of you here can do something for me. So yeah, I'd really encourage people to think about those skills that they have and the way that God can use them. And I say it everywhere I go, but if he can use me, he literally can use anybody.